running now. They're running now. Hold on, Phil. Okay, now they won't. We've got old Brent there in front of us, so he'll help us stay with them while taking 7,000 photographs. I can hear his lens going off from here. Hello, Brent. Joy and rapture unforeseen. For now the dogs are being seen. And the smell of them is unbelievable. It's the best way to track them. They smell just like a dirty domestic dog. Yeah, I think she's about to give birth. She still looks very heavy in the belly. That's her running off there in picture now. They definitely decided they're hunting something. I'm going to follow on the road. Yeah, they're splitting now. There's the one. So we can see a very nice view there of the female who's about to give birth, I think, if they haven't denned. We have to stay right awake here, because if they decide to hunt something, they will go at a hell of a speed. Only 350 to 400 left in the whole Kruger Park. Here's a beautiful one next to us. Look at that. Oh, that's just magnificent. Isn't he lovely? So we're just going to wait with this one here. They're listening. You can see their ears twitching from side to side. They'll be sniffing. And this one is now going to the toilet, of course. Petra on Twitter, thank you for your question. You want to know why wild dogs smell so bad. I don't think they smell bad at all. They just smell like wild dogs. I'm just trying to give you a sense of what they smell like. So if you think of a wet Labrador, that's around about the smell you've got. I suppose it would be bad if they were curled up on the bed next to you, but as they aren't, I find the smell quite pleasant. They're just searching through the woodland here for any signs of possible prey, most likely impala. That's the most frequently savaged prey by these great hunters. Right, so they're on the move. Part of their defense and their attack. Those radar-like ears, they're like two great big satellite dishes on the front of the head. We'll send Brent through following the others, and we'll follow this one here. This is just so special. So watch your head, take your dentures out. Watch the aerial here. Well done, good job. Phil's on fire, thankfully. We've got two of them here. And definitely on the chase for something. I don't think they're... Okay, now they're running. Now they're moving. Slow down again. Sorry about the speed with which we're having to drive, but we'll lose them in a ticky if we don't keep going. Losing pieces of car. Never mind. Buy another one. front of us. I'm not sure if you can see them. There they are. They're all there. Charlie on Twitter, thank you for your question. It's a very good one. You want to know, I'm not going to excuse my lack of eye contact with you as I try and follow them. You want to know how big an animal, what's the sort of prey limit size for a pack of 5. Charlie, a sort of a adult cow is probably the limit of what they'd go for. That would also be quite big. It would most likely be a ram impala, but it is theoretically possible for them to take a kudu cow. I'm not sure if you can get a sense of the incredible thrashing that's going on through the bush here. They are moving in front of us. I hope you can see them there. I can see them. Just don't want to get too close. But we haven't seen any impala or anything like that. And unlike with the cats, you know, the cats we are even more careful with because they rely on stalking. These dogs don't rely on any form of stealth at all. If they find something that they want to kill, they'll just charge after it at 100 miles an hour, and they don't worry about hiding from it. They're called a courser, and a courser is an animal that will chase something down, basically, that it can't run. So with the cats on the hunt, we'd be a lot more circumspect about the amount of vegetation we were prepared to smash. Not so much here. I keep losing my ears. Sorry about that, we keep going. There they are. Still see them in front of us there. Just about. Lost them now. You got them? Yeah, Phil's got them. There we go. It's quite a full body workout here on the steering wheel. There we go, the whole pack is now, we've crossed through the block and they're onto another road now. Mercifully. Whether they'll turn onto it or hair down through the drainage line, I'm not sure. So they can smell something there. Not sure what it is. I suspect that's the alpha male that's just walked right out of picture. He's the one who's been leading them. He will lead the hunt with the alpha female, who's obviously the pregnant one. Oh, they are just such special animals. Okay, here we go. Listening. Look at their ears. That's the alpha. And he'll contact call. He'll call them if he finds something in there. They go in there. I'm not going to guarantee I can follow them, but I will try. If there's a way, I will find it. Here comes the alpha. He's coming back out of the drainage line. I wish you could smell them. It's such a distinctive smell, and you can, it'll linger for a few minutes after they've left an area. I'm not sure that I can get through there. Here's the alpha female. We'll stick with her for now. There's quite a big drainage line through here. There we go. There's the other one there. There's another one just through there. That's it. He's gone now into the drainage line. Now, whether we can get this Land Rover down there or not, I'm not sure. Peggy in Montana, thank you for your question. You want to know if having the pregnant alpha female doesn't slow the pack down. Probably very slightly, but what you need to remember is that carnivores all have a very short gestation, mainly because what they want to be able to do, I'm not going to be able to get through here, mainly because, I'll get back to you now, Peggy. Okay, we're going to speed around there. Where are you guys going to go? Okay. Right. Scott and Brent say there's no way we're going to get a vehicle through there. I'm going to speed around the other way, see what we can see. I'm going to go past these chaps. Sorry, Jachil and go. Peggy, so carnivores have very short gestation periods, and that's because they can't afford the hunt. So while if we think of a human being at 9 months pregnant, that's obviously hopeless if you want to, if you're intending to do some form of ardent physical exercise. It's not the same for the carnivores, or even for the herbivores, although they carry babies for a lot longer. Watch out, fellow. I'm saying that to an impala. See if they don't come up here.
Hi everyone, how exciting was that? James with the wild dog. That is incredible, that really is fantastic and so lucky. You know, wild dogs cover huge distances very, very quickly, and sounds like they just about run through the whole property, the whole of Djuma, just in one quick afternoon. That is very exciting stuff. I'm so glad you all got to see that. Since that's all been gone, we left the water hole and we've been looking for leopard around a drainage line, just trying to see if we get any sign of any leopards. Often they like to lie down in the drainage during the course of the day when it's hot and rest.
As yet. I'm just going to switch off and listen. Important to look behind you because they might pop out there. They haven't yet. We're heading in this general direction. I'm just going to see if I can get hold of Brent or Scott. Brent or Scott, come in. Confirm nothing your side. Okay, copy, thanks. All right, we've got all the bases behind us covered, so I'm going to go a little bit forward and turn down the next road I can find. The thing is with these dogs, they're not like lions which will just stop, lie down and do nothing for the next 18 hours. I mean, they will move all the time. John on Twitter showing some concern for Phil. Thank you very much for that. Phil is much appreciates your concern. The fact that the camera is still showing picture as opposed to the sky indicates that we still have him with us, which is a great plus, because my camera work is not the most impressive, and it's even worse when I'm driving. Negative. I've come down the next road. Scott just trying to coordinate where we're going. I can't smell anything. We're not going to go too much further down here. Before we go back up, just see that they haven't come out to the north. Tony in Ireland, you'd like to know, thank you for your question, you'd like to know how far will wild dogs travel in a day? Tony, they can travel quite a distance. Their home range is about 450 square kilometers, which is obviously enormous. But in a day, they're possibly up to 15 kilometers. They can travel much further if they have to, but if there's prey in an area, they won't necessarily move that far. So they'll kill and then move on. But I'd say on average probably 15 to 25 kilometers. Station's nothing on Hyena Road so far. We're going to turn around and come back up the way. So I haven't seen anything. We've come quite a long way south down this road. And I can't smell or see them at this stage of the game. The sun is starting to set, which is okay for them, and especially they will, I mean, if it does go dark, what they'll do is lie down, and then as the moon comes up, because it's almost full still, they'll hunt under the light of the full moon. But they must have light to hunt. They're unlike the cats. Alright, we're going to turn around here, go back up. Try not to lose Phil. Rather crucial part of this operation. I'm afraid we've got to the point of guesswork now, because they could have gone in any direction. They might come across those hapless kudu just now. Quite exciting. And even if we don't see them again, we've had a wonderful sighting and a glorious sunset awaits us. Teresa on Twitter, as far as we can make out, this is your first interaction with us, and so thank you very much and welcome. If it is, if it isn't, we're sorry we're so negligent in our remembrance. But this is, you wanted to know, when she gives birth, will they stay in one place? The answer is no, they won't. They'll put the pups in a termite mound, and she will then, the mother will nurse them for a while, but she will soon be back out on the hunt. Sorry, just hold on, Teresa. Go ahead. Okay, copy. Okay, we've got them up front. Confirm you have the visual. Track that's headed up north. Teresa, they quite possibly are looking for a den site now, given how pregnant she is. Out of the way, hornbill, and sorry, I'm 150 different things in my ear at the moment. Bobby, thanks. Scott and Brent are following him. Teresa, so they won't stay in one place, no. They will stay in one den for about 10 days maybe, and then move the pups because they start to smell quite bad. They are going to cross north, I think, so I'm going to drive at a hell of a speed. But she will be on the hunt almost immediately after giving birth. We're going to go and see what Byron's doing just now, not just yet. We might just, the dogs are just up ahead. Out of the way, bird. Right, they're just up ahead. We may have lost him, but I'm just going to make sure. Vehicles up ahead. Phil's about to be bucked off. There they are in front of us. Where? I can't see them. I'm frantic pointing. Can you see them?
Yeah, I saw them riding straight through the 10 degrees to where you are.
Okay, so they've unfortunately crossed over the boundary. I'm going to move slowly down this road here, but unfortunately we can't follow them from here because they've gone north over our boundary. It was just fantastic. I feel quite breathless with joy at that sighting. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'm sorry if the jerking around in the vehicle made you a little bit seasick. You got them there. Okay. Phil's got them. Phil reckons he has them in there. Yeah, I think they've headed off north, I'm afraid. What a fantastic sighting that was. I was feeling quite cold before that. Now I'm warm. Phew. How was that, Phil?
Oh, I don't need a personal trainer now.
Phil will need some advanced physio and chirotherapy after this. Let's go up and look at the sunset and ask some. Apparently there's some questions. We'll go up and park and look at the sunset, and I'll tell you about everything I know. And Marianne, thank you very much for your question. We're just going to park here in sight. The answer is it's exactly the same. They will look for an old aardvark or aardvark or antbear burrow, clean it out of any recalcitrant monitor lizards or snakes, and then she will give birth in a big termite mound hole, exactly like a hyena would. So I'm just catching my breath now as the sun starts to sink and the earth takes a breather as well. Pamela, you'd like to know how many pups wild dogs will normally have. Thank you very much for your question. Up to 12, but very seldom will all of them survive. So, I mean, if they have a litter of 12 or 13 sometimes, it's possible that they would survive if those 5 adults are particularly good. Yeah, probably 20 to 40% of them will survive. If you can hear the wind rustling through the leaves now. We're heading for a fairly chilly night, I think, but I'm very warmed inside by that last sighting. Debbie on Twitter, great question. At what age will wild dog pups be able to keep up with a pack, not a pride? The answer is probably at about 6 weeks they'll start to move with the, no, not 6 weeks, sorry, 6 months. They'll be fully fledged hunters, but 3 months. As soon as they're sort of starting to wean. Ginny and Christy, you ask a very good question, thank you. You want to know, surely they already have a den, given how pregnant she is. No, Ginny, they don't. They'll find it just before she gives birth. And Brent made a very good point. He reckons that they're actually looking for a den right now. Yeah, very likely. sorry, I've just got a radio message coming through. It's got nothing to do with the dog, so we won't worry about that. So what will happen is now they will search for a den site, and we're hoping, of course, that it will be on Djuma, but because the the chances are quite small, but it would be really special if they did. So I think Brent is probably correct when he says that they're looking for a den site as we speak. So it feels to me like the whole earth around me now is starting to sigh. You hear the rustling in the leaves, the doves calling for the last time. Julie in Milwaukee, thank you for communicate with each other like wolves and sort of vocally. And the answer is yes, they do. They chatter, and they make a sort of almost bird-like chattering noise. And they also bark. They make a sort of hooting, barking noise when they're threatened. And they don't howl like wolves, but they make a sort of hoot when they're on the hunt and they want to communicate with the pack if they've been separated. And like I say, the dogs will now go down. They won't move after dark because their eyesight is not wonderful after dark. They'll find Jimmerlin in Oklahoma, thank you for your question. I'm just trying to understand if I'm getting you correctly here. You want to know if the diet is the same between dogs and and lions, and therefore, what smells. The diet is very similar, except that the dogs will probably consume more of a carcass than the lions will. The lions tend to stick to the meaty parts and the bones, but the dogs will, and some skin, but the dogs will, if they catch a steenbok, they will devour just about every single piece of it. That's not to say the lions won't. In terms of smell, their dung does smell. I don't know why that is. It's probably got to do with the digestive bacteria and that sort of thing. But the smell of the coat is definitely very different. I couldn't tell you why, I'm afraid. Glorious sunset, that. It's always just slightly clearer and brighter when the air is as crisply cold as this. So for us, it's quite chilly now. For North America, it's balmy. You can hear the drongos calling behind us. Make that call in the late evening. So while Phil sort of recovers from the major injuries I've given to his back, we're going to cross over to Byron and see what he's found, and we'll catch up with you a bit later.
Hello everyone. how amazing was that wild dog sighting? It's incredible. I'm so happy you all got to see that. It's definitely one of the most fascinating predators we get in this area, and most exciting. I mean, the way they can just cover huge distances in such a short period of time, and as you saw, it's not easy to stay with them. But I'm glad you got to see them and spend some time with regarding the wild dog and how they move around and what they get up to. We are on our way towards the hyena den which we were at this morning. We were just curious because there was an adult there. We're not sure if the cubs are around, but there was an adult there this morning, so we'd like to go and double check, make sure there isn't any activity around there. And I'm morning, so we're going to go have a look around that area and just see if we have any luck. We've got such an amazing sunset this evening. Really beautiful colors. Hello, Cecilia. Cecilia's just asked quite an interesting question. She's asked me what one of my scariest moments in the bush has been. I think off the top of my head, the first answer would definitely be meeting James. No, I'm just kidding. Cecilia, fortunately, I haven't had many hair-raising experiences. I've been fortunate enough to view a lot of animals, and I've been lucky with their behavior, and I've judged it fairly correctly on most times. But on one occasion, I was by myself walking through the bush. I was tracking something, and now that for me, and I mentioned this morning, elephants are one of my favorite animals, but that was definitely a hair-raising experience, and it was something that's definitely stuck with me. I was definitely nervous and quite scared at the time, but in my mind, and to think things too much, but I do believe that the elephant could have hurt me if he wanted to. I don't think he did want to, and he actually stopped the charge. He must have been about 5 meters from me, which is incredibly close for a 5 to 6 ton bull elephant. And he stopped. There was a lot of dust, bit of trumpeting, and he turned and he moved off. And as he moved off, I then quickly made my way out of the area and away from him. I think he had been irritated previously in the day, and that's perhaps what triggered it. And we literally bumped into each other. It wasn't any instigating or anything like that, but that was quite a scary experience. But again, you know, I always believe that animals are not out there to hurt us. We purely here to view them in their natural habitat and try and watch how they behave and act. And if we give them the space and the courtesy, which I think they all deserve, they generally leave us alone. And I think that's one of the best ways of avoiding any situation. This evening on our sunset safari, as the sun has dropped, the temperature has gone down with it, and both myself and Andrew have got our jackets on already. It's not too bad. It was definitely much colder this morning. wonderful time of the day. There's a lot of birds giving their final calls before they head off to sleep. So there's a lot of activity, a lot of movement. Just kind of, if you glance through the bush, you'll see the few birds flying off. You hear francolins calling. There's always something going on. Just noticed what a beautiful view we have from this particular point. We're not far from that hyena den, but it's always just take in some of the natural landscape and the views which we are fortunate to have in this area. And I mean, as far as you can see, they're just trees, and it's incredible. You know, there's a saying that one of my friends used to say, which stuck with me quite a bit. And if you look out there, we don't really know what's going on. There's nothing going on, but at the same time, everything is going on. Everything is happening, because we don't know what's going on out there. We had wild dogs run through the property very quickly. We had some zebra drinking a bit earlier. We had buffalo, warthog, and that's just what we saw. But we don't know what's going on in these thicker areas and beyond the horizon, which I find so fascinating. And the other really head around it is, we are in the middle of Africa, in the greater Kruger National Park, and yet we are able to bring you this live. Everything we're seeing, you are seeing as we see it, and it's just such an amazing experience. You know, for those of you who haven't been on this morning or only joined us now, my name's Byron. I've arrived today just doing my first and second drive. Just appreciating being back here. We've been very lucky this morning with the leopard, but hopefully our luck continues. James was lucky this afternoon with the wild dog, and we're heading towards a hyena den now, just to see if there's any activity around there, and if there are potential cubs around. Excuse me. The sun has set, and it's a nice time to have a look. Have a look at this. We've just seen the warthog just run out the burrow. These were warthog that we saw here this morning. While this hyena was lying 30 meters from the hole, these warthog had returned to this burrow, or this den, and they were down the hole. So this just kind of possibly no cubs in this den at the moment. I think those hyenas have moved off with the cubs, and that adult that we saw here today was probably just resting in this area. Probably knows the den site quite well, and that's possibly why it was here. Because on this morning when we got here, the adult female head was out, and the adult female warthog, her head was out. The hyena was lying down, and we sat here for a short to head out, and she came out, and the three young piglets followed her, and they ran off. Fortunately for them, they ran away from the den in that direction, in a northerly direction, and then where the hyena was laying down, just beyond, that's where the leopard popped up this morning. So it would have been interesting if the piglets and the mother ran towards the leopard, because leopard especially a piglet running past at the back of the group. The leopard which we saw this morning, and leopards can be creatures of habit at times. They're not, again, we can't always guarantee their behavior, but occasionally they pick up behavior which forms a pattern. Now Tingana apparently likes to sit outside warthog burrows and aardvark burrows, possibly waiting for a warthog or an aardvark to run out. They can pick up on the scent of the animals inside the burrow, so they'll sit. They're incredibly patient animals, and what they'll do is they'll sit down and wait for any potential prey to come out or return back to the burrow. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep very quiet now. It looks like the warthog are returning back to the burrow, so let's just sit quietly a little bit and have a look to see if they go back. Leading the piglets back. I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to just move a little bit further back, just to give the warthog a little bit more space. Perhaps she'll feel comfortable. I'm going to start the vehicle. She may move off a little bit, but I do think she's going to come back. So just let me give her a little bit more space. Second. She's coming closer. Okay, let's rather wait. I don't want to disturb her. How wonderful is this? Female's very wary, just watching us. Wants to make sure we're no threat. Yeah, there, she's moved off a little bit. I'm going to give them a little bit more space quickly. Let me just move the vehicle. Let's just wait here for a second. Given them quite a bit of space, and let's wait here a second and see if they relax a bit more. If not, I'll possibly just move off so that they can head back down into the burrow. But she was fairly relaxed. She just wanted to make sure we weren't a threat. I'm certain they are going to head back. I understand a lot of you are hoping that we've got the same luck we had this morning and a leopard pops out, possibly tries to catch one of these warthog. That would be very lucky. And here we go, slowly coming back. Good evening and hello to Halal. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And Halal's question was, she would like to know how heavy can warthog get. Now, some of the big boars, the big males, to between 80 and 110 kilograms. A really big boar, now, and that would be very big, is about 100, maybe 110 kilograms. Or, some of those weights are records. You know, if you read most books, they'll give a range for the weight of a big male or big female, but big warthog can get up to around that weight of 100 kilograms. So that's roughly around 200 pounds, somewhere around there, roughly, maybe a bit more, 220, 230 pounds, which is a huge animal. And that's why even leopard and lions think twice before they hunt some of these big warthog, because they're armed with incredibly sharp tusks and they're very quick, very powerful, especially one. Careful if you're hunting them. They're slowly heading back. Oh, look at that. Fantastic. There we go. And have a look, if you watch them going down, reversing in. Yeah, have a look at that. And now that is typical warthog behavior for entering a burrow. They go in backwards. The reason for that is if they feel threatened or there's danger that comes into the front or the entrance of the burrow, they can always use their tusks to defend themselves, and they can sprint out of the hole and get away very quickly. There we go. On their knees and back into the hole. How beautiful is that? Look at that, beautiful, going down into the burrow. Special, and I'm so glad we're getting to view them like this. We just received a question from Ashley on Twitter. The gestation period of a warthog. It's about 170 days, Ashley. So that's the general gestation period of a warthog. And then some of you may be thinking that there are only 2 piglets at the moment. This morning they ran out very quickly, and I said there's possibly 2 or actually see properly that if there were 3 or if there were 2. So I may have got it wrong this morning by saying 2 or 3, but it's just the 2 that are with her, and I think it was just the 2 that were here earlier. They did just run out very quickly, and I was scanning the area to see if something else had chased them, just to make sure, but counting is occasionally incorrect. I apologize, but it's just the female with the 2 piglets at the moment. But this is a fascinating sighting. I don't think I've ever seen warthog return to a burrow in the evenings to go down. You can see she's still a little wary, but she's definitely relaxed a lot more. And you see those sharp tusks at the entrance, just in case anything comes up, making sure there's no danger. We've received a question on Twitter from Happy Cub. Good evening. Just at what age do the piglets leave the adult? It's an interesting question. Often what happens with family tend to stay together. Males, when they reach maturity, quite a few years later, will possibly move off and go look for other females and then become independent. But a lot of the piglets and the females tend to stay within the family. And I've got a question for all the viewers. Does anyone know what a family or a group of warthog are known as? Always these collective mating, and the warthog is quite an interesting one. In front of that hole with that female, or that burrow with that female inside. And Kari, it would generally not be a very pleasant experience. What happens is, because they reverse or move backwards down, you had to walk, there we go, there she goes down. If you had to walk in front of that burrow and surprise them or threaten them in any way, those warthog would come running out very quickly, and those tusks could do some serious damage, scraping your leg badly and occasionally breaking a leg if you're not careful. So that would not be advised. And one of the golden rules when you're walking in the bush or is you never walk in front of a warthog burrow or an aardvark burrow, in case there are warthog or animals inside, and if they feel threatened, they will come shooting out, and that can cause some damage. If you were walking through the bush, just on a bushwalk, and you came across some warthog, they would probably just move away, Kari. They won't stick around. They are quite skittish and nervous. You can see this female is still just a little bit wary and wants to make sure it's safe to sleep. But they would most likely run away from you. They are not very confrontational animals. But again, if you cause them to feel threatened, then they would run and charge you. So Sherry on Twitter and Elaine from Massachusetts answered my question, what a group or family of warthog are known as, and they've got it right. It is a sounder of warthog, similar to what a group of pigs is called. So that's well done to both first and the correct answers. So those of you who didn't know, it is a sounder of warthog. What a fantastic sighting. It really was incredible. Lovely to see these warthog go down into the burrow. Christine from North Carolina just sent through a question. A warthog burrow or a hyena den can be. It varies so much, Christine. It would be anywhere from a meter to 2 or 3 meters deep. Occasionally what could happen is these old termite mounds form such a wonderful home for these animals because they're easier to burrow into. There's a lot more or the ground is a lot looser inside, so they can get quite deep, and occasionally burrows may go all the way through a termite mound and have a number of entrances. This one, however, I think has definitely just got the one entrance because the warthog have gone in, so she feels safe that nothing would come from the other side. So this entrance or this burrow is probably, I would say, between a meter and a half, pushing it 2 meters in there. So I would say that's probably how deep it can go. And they also do maintenance on these burrows. They will clean it out a little bit more, possibly making it a little bit deeper, trying to keep it clean. Just remember, there are a lot of fleas and that which occur in these burrows once all these animals use them as homes. So that is also something to consider. This was really a special sighting and great to see. It just shows how patience pays off in the bush, and always works and works out for the better just to wait and see what happens, and we get to see these acting the way they would if we weren't here. I think what we're going to do is, why don't we see what James is up to. He's been driving around for a while, perhaps he has found something, and we'll see you a little bit later.
Welcome back everybody to Jiga. I've strapped Phil's body, which is quite pleasant. So as you can see, he's found us a spectacular view out west again over the mountains and the great setting African sun. I have been trying to take a photograph with my little camera, failing so far. I'm not skilled in those arts like Brent and Scott are, but I'm learning. We've had the most spectacular day, and the night drive has just sort of commenced, so we've got and we're going to carry on trying to find little bits and pieces that might be out at night, civets perhaps, or genets, or chameleons. The chameleons tend to come out in the winter, which is quite nice, and perhaps a bush baby or two. Then of course there's always the hope of seeing a leopard, which is our favorite thing to see at night. It's certainly one of my favorite animals. I'm just judging. Somebody asked me on my first drive what my favorite animal was, and I wasn't really But the speed at which my heart was beating during that wild dog chase is starting to make me think that I perhaps do have a slight leaning towards Lycaon pictus, the African painted wolf, or the wild dog. So I still feel sort of warm and fuzzy inside after that incredible sighting. Phil doesn't, of course, because he's deeply injured, but that's just how it goes. Try and spotlight a few nighttime animals and see what we can see. I'm going to give up on my photography for now. There's no need for you to experience my incompetence on the celluloid. Right, here we go. Oh, and I wanted to say, there's quite a lot to follow each other when they're hunting. And I suspect that's one of the reasons that they still have that smell. They move huge distances while they're hunting, and they spread out quite far from each other. And I think that smell that they have, although it might alert prey to them, probably plays a major role in helping them to follow each other, and is... So great question, and thanks for stimulating me mind. Right, spotlight is on. Let's see what we can see. I must tell you the temperature has dropped substantially. I'm wearing shorts and not even the thick pelt of hair. So tomorrow morning I'm going to have to find some form of a long pant or blanket. I've just had a dreadfully update from the inimitable Nikki Austin, who says it's going to be 4 degrees tomorrow morning. In Fahrenheit, that is not much above 40. So I'm going to have to find some form of blanket, otherwise my legs will fall off. Brent or Scott are going to experience the Baltic conditions tomorrow morning with me. Often on windy nights, well, it's not windy, but there's certainly a bit of a cool breeze blowing through here at the... They'll congregate if they happen to be communal. If they're leopards, which are on their own, I feel quite sorry for them, but they'll tend to stick to the thicker bush and out of the wind. So they can't just put on an extra layer of clothing should the need arise. Much like your dog does or a horse does, but you know, that sort of remains for the whole of the winter, and it doesn't grow in a day. Said I am checking in all the marula trees to see if there isn't a carcass hanging from a bough, resting therein. What we will be guaranteed of with the might have to light a fire outside, sit by it with a warming scotch. I believe Byron showed you a warthog going backwards into his burrow, which I think I've seen once or twice before. But what a wonderful thing to have seen. And especially as they seem to have evicted the hyenas from their home. I think it's rather amusing. Those warthogs walking towards the den site, and we said to each other, you know, we wondered if they weren't going to walk into some form of a trap where the hyenas might take one of those little piglets. But it would seem the pugnacious nature of the pigs has pushed off the very large and sort of secondary predator of the area, which is quite impressive. And there's a home much like the wild dogs will be looking for at the moment. Bumpy little road now called Ingwe Alley, which means leopard alley. I've yet to see a leopard on Ingwe Alley, so I'm not convinced that the name is not a misnomer of some sort. We'll try it anyway. Brent swears blind that he's seen hundreds of leopards. We're now on Ingwe Alley. May the herds of Ingwe hair out of the bush in front of us. Oh, there's some eyes there in the bush. I think we've got a bush baby. Still there's an eye there in front. There we go. It's like a bush baby on the tree. It's definitely there. Can you see it there? Beautiful. Let's see if we can't get a decent view of him. It. Go. Jumping to the top now, Phil. Let's get a bit closer. There he's jumped across there. Just gonna turn off here and see if we can't see him. He jumped from this knobthorn tree across to that terminalia, across to there. Psst, 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 psst. That everyone, very unconfiding bush baby, that one. Small primate. People often think that they, or don't realize that they are related to us and to monkeys, quite distantly related to us, although I do have some friends who are probably more closely related to them than they'd like to admit. And their little eyes apparently don't move. They've got, not little eyes, they've got huge eyes. And apparently they don't move in the eye socket because they're so big. So for the bush baby to look in either direction, it must turn its head. Let us hope to find, coming to the end of Ingwe Alley, which is as unproductive as usual, though it does help one's driving skills to drive on a road like this with one hand on the wheel and one on the spotlight. Poor old Phil's back's taking another hammering. I shall have to pour him a large scotch when we get home too. No, he says a beer rather. I'll give him a beer. The snifter of his choice. The road seems to have disappeared. Be it in North America, where the day I'm sure is progressing, or in Northern Europe, where you're in a similar time to us, or in Australia, where you might even be in the early morning, early hours of tomorrow. It's been wonderful having you with us. Thank you very much for joining us. Phil and I fighting here. So apart from the injuries he sustained, it was fantastic for him, and certainly for me. I've decided that they probably are my favorite animal. Here we are. Oh. We're just getting an update on the antelope poll. Right, so we're going to, just in the last few minutes, we're going to read out the results of the antelope poll, starting with I see Klipspringer coming in at last place. It's a little antelope that jumps around on the rocks. And then we have Sable, then Impala. Not sure why Sable did so badly. Steinbock or Steenbock next. And then Nyala female. It's a bit sexist, but never mind. Coming in a tie with the Gerenuk, which I think is a bit unfair on the Springbok, our national animal. Right, then Tuk Tuk in 5th place, Kudu in 4th place. Furious counting going on. Nyala male in 4th place. What are you in 5th? What was the next one? Waterbuck in 3rd place. Eland 2nd. And number 1. And then a great drum roll. In 1st position we have the Gemsbok. So just before I leave you, I just want to have a quick listen to the last dying embers of the day. And thank you again for joining us. It's been great fun having you along. We had an incredible time with those dogs. And we will see you tomorrow. I'm going to hand you over to Byron, who's had a wonderful time too. And he's a good friend of mine. And so I'd have been very upset if you'd been nasty to him. So we're going to cross over to him, and he will say the goodbyes from us. So from Phil and I know that apparently I'm the scariest thing he's ever seen in the bush. That makes me feel quite good inside, I must say. So from Phil and I, thank you for joining us, and we will see you in the freezing morning. Have a great evening, afternoon. Thanks.
Right, everyone, well, we coming to beautiful Sunset Drive. A lot of excitement again with the wild dogs, with James, spending time with the warthog. I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for all the support today. It was wonderful meeting you all and being able to answer some of your questions and experience this wonderful area with you. It was very exciting for me. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed it, and always great to work with old friends again, Brent and meet new friends, Phil and Andrew helping out on the cameras. And just a quick thank you again to Nikki and Eugene in the FC. Great help, and it was wonderful having them guide me along the way. And just to all the viewers again, thank you for all the help and the questions and the interaction. Please don't forget to feedback a lot of what you thought. Know what you think. This is again all about you and what you want and what you enjoy, so please let us know. It always makes it a lot easier for us to iron out a few things and find out what you want. Again, just a thank you. I am off tomorrow morning early. I've got to head back to the Kalahari, in fact, for a few days, taking some guests around there, so a very different type. And then hopefully I will be back with you very soon. It'll be wonderful to join you again on Safari Live and take a few game drives with you. And we'll see. It's a beautiful evening tonight. I actually just heard some hyena calling in the distance. Probably a little too soft for you to hear back home. Thank you again, and we hope you enjoyed your day with us, and enjoy the rest of the week, or what's left of the weekend, with Scott and Brent, and hope to see you soon. Thank you again, everyone. Bye bye.